One book, one extraordinary life. 48 chapters of saints, science, and the search for God.
I'm Kai.
And I'm Maya.
And this is our take on Autobiography of a Yogi, chapter by chapter.
September 1936. Yogananda is standing in front of his London yoga class, and he's struck by something simple, almost playful. He remarks, that as a Hindu, he's unusually happy to be teaching English students. There's no performance in it, just genuine warmth at this moment of connection. The yoga students in the room laugh appreciatively. No political turmoils ever disturb their yoga peace. That's the teaching right there. Peace is possible, even in the gathering storm of the world.
Hold on, this is significant because the world is becoming increasingly fragmented. Tensions are rising across Europe. Shadows of war are gathering. And yet here's Yogananda teaching yoga in London. And the teaching creates this island of peace. The students aren't arguing about nations or ideology. They're learning to study the breath, to turn attention inward, to discover that consciousness itself is what's real, to find that God connection that transcends all boundaries.
He's been traveling for 16 months. India is now a hallowed memory. Mount Washington, the Self-Realization Fellowship Center in Los Angeles, is calling him back. The work is waiting. The disciples are waiting. But before he returns to America, he's made a promise. He gave his word 16 months earlier that he would lecture again in London. And so here he is, fulfilling that commitment. That's the teaching too, right? Fidelity to the word given, the integrity of the guru. A person of God keeps their word above all else.
And the response in London is extraordinary. The British National Council of the World Fellowship of Faiths organizes this meeting at Whitefields Congregational Church. The date is September 29th. The subject is weighty, how faith and fellowship may save civilization. That's what Yogananda is offering now. Not mystical techniques hidden away in caves, a teaching about unity, about consciousness recognizing itself across all the boundaries we've created as separate nations and religions and races.
The 8 o'clock lectures at Caxton Hall attract such crowds that on 2 nights, the overflow waits in Windsor House Auditorium. Imagine that. People standing in another building because the main hall is completely full. The yoga classes during the following weeks grow so large that Mr. Wright has to arrange a transfer to another hall. There's a hunger here, an English hunger for something real, something authentic, something that actually quiets the mind and opens the heart.
And here's what's beautiful. The English tenacity has admirable expression in a spiritual relationship. Yogananda writes that. The London yoga students loyally organize themselves after his departure into a self-realization fellowship center. They hold their meditation meetings weekly, and they do this throughout the bitter war years. Hold on. World War II is raging. London is being bombed, and these students are gathering weekly to meditate, to practice the teachings Yogananda shared. That's the mission working. That's the transmission continuing. That's how the teaching survives.
Before he leaves London, there are these unforgettable weeks of sightseeing. He and Mr. Wright take their trusty Ford, and they visit the birthplaces and tombs of the great poets and heroes of British history, Shakespeare, the great souls who shaped civilization through words and ideas. It's like Yogananda is saying, consciousness expresses itself everywhere, in India, in the West, in the lives of great artists and thinkers. The spiritual wealth of civilization is everywhere. You just have to learn to see it.
The Ford. Aha, I love this detail. Mr. Wright's car, a bit battered from struggles with ancient soils, is still puissant, still powerful, still driving forward. It has crossed India and Europe. It has carried Yogananda across continents. It has navigated narrow streets in holy cities and broad highways in Western lands. And now it's touring England. The persistence of it, the simple determination, that's the teaching made material. That's what keeps moving forward. Not glamour, not ease, just steady, faithful determination.
Then comes the sailing back to America. October 1936. They sail from Southampton for America on the Bremen. And when the majestic Statue of Liberty appears in New York Harbor, Yogananda feels a joyous emotional gulp. Not just aesthetic appreciation, a real feeling in his heart. He's coming home. The work in America is waiting. Mount Washington is waiting. The students are waiting. And he brings with him the blessings of the entire world. Every saint he's met, every blessing he's received.
The Ford, still battered but still puissant, now takes on the transcontinental trip to California, late 1936. Lo, Mount Washington, The center is thriving, the work is growing, and Yogananda brings with him the energy of the entire world. He's carried the blessings of Babaji, of Sri Yukteswar, of every saint and seeker he's met back to America. The teaching is now firmly planted in both East and West. The mission is manifesting.
And the Christmas celebration. Okay, so this is the year-end holidays at the Los Angeles Center, December of 1936. The 11th annual celebration, Yogananda notes. An 8-hour group meditation on December 24th, spiritual Christmas, a time of complete devotion and silence, a time when the disciples gather in the presence of the guru and simply sit in meditation together. That's samadhi. That's the direct transmission that happens without words. And then the next day, December 25th, social Christmas, a banquet with food brought from the other side of the world.
The menu is extraordinary. Gucci mushrooms from Kashmir, those prized delicacies, canned rasagula and mango pulp from the bazaars of India, papar biscuits, and here's the detail that got me, an oil of the Indian kewar flower, which flavored their ice cream. You know, that's so specific. Seriously, Yogananda could have had them eat simple Western food, but instead he's bringing India into the celebration, creating taste memories, connecting his disciples to the land where the teaching originated, evoking the sacred geography of the Himalayas and the plains of Bengal.
And the presents. The gift pile under the tree is enormous. 1 year of world travel, plaques of the sacred olive tree from the Holy Land, delicate laces and embroideries from Belgium and Holland, Persian carpets, those woven treasures of centuries, finely woven Kashmiri shawls, sandalwood trays from Mysore, fragrant with the forest, Shila stones from central provinces, old Indian coins from dynasties long fled, carrying the consciousness of ages, bejeweled vases and cups, miniatures, tapestries, temple incense and perfumes, Swadeshi cotton prints, lacquerwork, Mysore ivory carvings, Persian slippers with their inquisitive long toe, quaint old illuminated manuscripts, velvets, brocades, Gandhi caps, potteries, tiles, brasswork, prayer rugs. He uses this phrase that's so vivid, booty of 3 continents, like he's come back from a sacred expedition, gathering treasures of spirit and culture.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's distributing gifts one by one? Sister Gyanamata, the saintly American lady of sweet visage and deep realization, who, during his absence, has been in charge at Mount Washington, receives a sari of golden Benares silk. Yogananda tells her, "Thank you, sir. It brings the pageant of India before my eyes. But it's not just about the silk. It's about presence. It's about touching India, being connected to the tradition, to the culture that birthed the teaching."
Then there's Mr. Dickinson. And wait, this is where the chapter becomes something else entirely. Something that shows what has actually been happening across all these years. Something that demonstrates that God is orchestrating every detail of human existence. Yogananda hands him a long package, a square little box. Mr. Dickinson opens it and finds a silver cup. And wait, what? He becomes completely overwhelmed. The text says he's struggling with emotion. He stares at the present. He seats himself some distance away, apparently in a daze. Something about this cup has shattered him open.
Yogananda smiles at him affectionately and continues distributing gifts, like he knows something, like he knew exactly what that cup would do to Mr. Dickinson, like the guru, through some form of consciousness that transcends the ordinary mind, understands the unfinished threads in his disciples' lives. And later they're chatting together, sometime after Christmas night. Mr. Dickinson says, "Sir, please let me thank you now for the silver cup. I could not find any words on Christmas night." And Yogananda says, "I brought the gift especially for you."
And then Mr. Dickinson shares something he's kept hidden his entire life, for 43 years. A story so precise, so clear, that you know it's been etched in his consciousness every single day. It has lived in him like a living thing, burning, always present, waiting for some kind of completion, some kind of answer, some kind of proof that the universe is ordered by love.
He was 5 years old, drowning in a 15-foot pool in a small town in Nebraska. His older brother had playfully pushed him in. He was only 5. As he was about to sink for the second time under the water, a dazzling, multicolored light appeared, filling all space. And in the midst of that light was the figure of a man with tranquil eyes and a reassuring smile. Not frightening, peaceful, loving, present. But then one of the brother's companions bent a tall, slender willow tree in such a low dip that the boy could grasp it. The boys lifted him to the bank, successfully gave him first aid treatment, and he lived.
But he never forgot the vision, never forgot that man with tranquil eyes, the light that appeared in the water, the rescue that came both from the physical world and the spiritual realm simultaneously. That's karma. That's grace. That's the way God works through human forms and divine light both. That's the mystery of existence. The boy was saved, and he was marked. He knew from that moment that there was something beyond the ordinary world, something divine, something loving.
12 years later, he's 17 years old now, 1893, the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago, one of the most significant spiritual gatherings ever held in America. Mr. Dickinson is visiting with his mother. They're walking down a main street and he sees it, the mighty flash of light, same dazzling multicolored light. And a few paces away, strolling leisurely along, is the same man, the man from the vision, the man with tranquil eyes, the man he saw drowning in Nebraska when he was 5 years old.
The man approaches a large auditorium and vanishes within the door. Mr. Dickinson and his mother hurry inside. The man is seated on the lecture platform. They soon learn that he is Swami Vivekananda of India, the chief disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, one of the most powerful spiritual voices ever to come from India to America, a man who brought the teaching to the West, who lectured at Harvard and Stanford, and everywhere he went, he kindled a fire in people's hearts, a roaring lion of God.
Mr. Dickinson was so young he didn't know how to give expression to his feelings, but in his heart he was hoping that Vivekananda would become his teacher, that this man, this vision made flesh, would take him as a disciple. He was only 17. He'd been carrying that image for 12 years, and here the man was, in Chicago, at the World Parliament of Religions. It seemed like the universe had arranged this meeting, like God had orchestrated it.
After Vivekananda had given his soul-stirring talk, Mr. Dickinson went forward to meet him, and Vivekananda smiled on him graciously, as though they were old friends, as though he recognized him. And the young man was trembling with hope, with longing, with the knowledge that he had found something he'd been seeking his whole life. After Vivekananda had given his soul-stirring talk, Mr. Dickinson went forward to meet him, and Vivekananda smiled on him graciously, as though they were old friends, as though he recognized him. And the young man was trembling with hope, with longing, with the knowledge that he had found something he'd been seeking his whole life.
But Vivekananda read his thought. Without words being spoken, the great master understood what the young man was hoping. And Vivekananda said, "No, my son, I am not your guru." He gazed at him with beautiful, piercing eyes, deep into his own. "Your teacher will come later. He will give you a silver cup." And then he added, smiling, "He will pour out to you more blessings than you are now able to hold."
A silver cup. Just like that. A prophecy so specific, so utterly precise. Not vague, not poetic in the way that could mean anything. A silver cup. A physical object. A tangible gift. Mr. Dickinson left Chicago in a few days. He never saw the great Vivekananda again, but every word he had uttered was indelibly written on his inmost consciousness, like a carving in stone, like a flame that never went out. That prophecy became his North Star.
Years passed. No teacher appeared. The world moved forward, and Mr. Dickinson kept his longing alive, kept his heart open. He didn't become cynical. He didn't forget. In 1925, one night he prayed deeply. He asked the Lord to send him his guru. He was genuinely asking, not as a casual thought, but as a deep, sincere petition, a prayer from the soul, a sincere petition to the divine. A few hours later, he was awakened from sleep by soft strains of melody, beautiful music, and a band of celestial beings appeared before him, carrying flutes and other instruments. They filled the air with glorious music, and then slowly they vanished.
That's grace announcing itself. That's the universe saying, yes, your prayer is heard. Your longing is real. Help is coming. The teaching is about to enter your life. The next evening, Mr. Dickinson attended for the first time one of Yogananda's lectures here in Los Angeles, for the first time. And he knew, in that moment, without any doubt, he knew that his prayer had been granted. His guru had arrived. His teacher was sitting before him.
11 years he's been a Kriya Yoga disciple now at Mount Washington. 11 years of practice. 11 years of sitting with Yogananda. 11 years of the teaching working in his consciousness, changing him, purifying him, elevating him. But all those years, a question had remained in his mind. The silver cup. Where was it? Sometimes he wondered. He had almost persuaded himself that Vivekananda's words were only metaphorical, that the silver cup was just a beautiful way of saying blessings, Maybe it didn't mean an actual cup.
And then, Christmas night 1936, Yogananda is handing him that square box by the tree. And in that moment, Mr. Dickinson saw it again. For the third time in his life, the same dazzling flash of light, the same multicolored light that appeared when he was drowning, the same light that appeared in Chicago. And he was gazing on his guru's gift, the silver cup, an actual cup made of silver, real, physical, tangible. Vivekananda had foreseen it 43 years earlier.
Right, 43 years earlier. Think about that. 1893 at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago. 1936, the prophecy was made. The guru would give a silver cup. And Yogananda, perhaps not even knowing the story, perhaps receiving the instruction from the lineage itself, found the cup in Calcutta, brought it back across the world, wrapped it, placed it in Mr. Dickinson's hands at exactly the right moment. That's grace. That's the teaching made utterly visible. That's how consciousness works when it's not obstructed by doubt and fear.
The chapter ends with these words. Mr. Dickinson and Yogananda were smiling at each other in silence. What is there to say? The circle has closed. The prophecy has been fulfilled. The teaching has proven itself to be absolutely real. The guru-disciple relationship, the transmission of consciousness from master to student, is not a metaphor. It's not poetic language. It's a living, breathing, precise mechanism of grace. It's how God reaches down and lifts us up.
And for us reading this, watching Mount Washington fill with students and gifts and celebrations, and the manifestation of Yogananda's work spreading across continents, there's this message. The mission is real. The teacher is real. The transmission of consciousness from guru to disciple is real. And it doesn't happen in the way the mind expects. It happens through grace. It happens through time. It happens through God's perfect orchestration of events, through synchronicity, through divine will.
That's the final teaching of this chapter. Mr. Dickinson waited for 43 years. He held his vision alive. He didn't give up. He prayed when he was lost. He found his teacher. He kept practicing. And when the moment came, when the silver cup was given, he understood that he had never been alone, that he had been seen and guided from the very beginning, that the love of the guru and the grace of God had been orchestrating every detail of his life.
This is what it means to return to the West, not just physically, but spiritually. Yogananda is returning with the entire weight of the Indian teaching, with the blessings of Babaji, of Sri Yukteswar, of every saint and great soul. He's returning with the power to change lives, to fulfill prophecies, to complete circles that seemed impossible. And he's doing it in California, in America, in Mount Washington. The Self-Realization Fellowship is taking root.
The mission has come full circle. The teaching that originated in the Himalayas with Babaji is now being planted firmly in American soil. Self-Realization Fellowship centers are being established. Kriya Yoga is being taught to Western disciples. Disciples are finding their teachers. Prophecies are being fulfilled. And the simple silver cup, held in Mr. Dickinson's hands, is the symbol of it all. A promise kept, a circle closed, a life made whole.
See you next time.